For those of you that have joined us, we will begin shortly. Fiona just went over to help Laurel. She says it's in a PowerPoint.
Yeah, let me see the PowerPoint.
Is it still only showing the PowerPoint slides and not the full screen? Oh, you walked away.
You can go to conference room C
Okay.
because we can't see.
You can't see what?
She says she can't, they can't
It's
see.
still the gray boxes and we're seeing the screen, the secondary screen. We'll have to test something else. I'll have to Google and figure out how to do that. With the
Okay.
screens. But the lady, maybe I could give them this. Yeah.
How come I'm not showing you?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but my camera's not. There, that's why.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. Mitchell, did you test?
Yes.
Okay. And we just don't see Desiree.
Mitchell, if you can unmic yourself and test, please.
Testing.
Thank you.
Hello, it's Laurel.
For those of you that have joined us, we will begin shortly. Thank you. Desiree, I'm unmuting you. And if you can do a test for me,
Hi there.
thank you.
She had to go get her file, so she'll be right back.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our third panel of presentations with the Chicago Department of Procurement Services. But before we get started, I just want to make sure that you know that you can ask questions. We will have a talk back at the end of this presentation. Once our last speaker has spoken and presented their information, you can queue up your questions during the presentation in the Q&A panel, which is at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you do not see the Q&A, then go ahead and click on the three dots down there. You'll get a menu, and then you should see Q&A. Press it, type in your question in the dialog box, press the enter key, and we will receive it. We'll ask the questions, as many as we can, before our time expires today. And those that we did not answer, we'll make sure that we put those online so that you get the answers to them, or we'll send them directly back to you. Before we get started, I definitely want to share with you that there are information out there on the website that you can avail yourself to. We have created, as part of our guiding principle of transparency, a 4-volume set resource guide, which will give you information about contract administration, incentives and programs, certification and compliance. And you can get your copy of that at chicago.gov/DPS guides. Feel free to download it, print it out, whatever you need to do so that you can get that information and peruse it at your leisure. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce our panel of speakers for today. We have Laurel Blomisher, Deputy Procurement Officer, Mitchell Kroc, Managing Deputy Procurement Officer, Desiree Atkins, Manager of Certification and Compliance, and rounding out the end will be Monica Jimenez, First Deputy Procurement Officer. So I'm going to turn my mic off and hand it over to Laurel Blomisher, and she's going to take you from here. Laurel, if you give me just a second. In just a second, you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay. Hopefully all of you can see my
And
screen.
at the bottom right-hand corner next to the minus, if you would click on that presentation piece right there to the right, the last one to the right.
This one?
Yep. You're
Sorry
doing
about that.
no, you're doing fine.
Okay, great.
Can you go up to display settings
Yes,
and then swap printer?
swap
view?
presenters.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Perfect.
All
Perfect.
right.
There's a small gray box that is kind of distorting part of our view. If you can close that box on the right-hand side,
This one?
it might be part of the Cisco WebEx stuff, but if you could close that, that would work.
Okay, could you please repeat that again?
The gray
Jackie?
box, the gray box to the right, there's a gray
Yes.
box to the right.
Sorry. Thanks for your patience, everyone.
It kind of went down to the I think it went down to the notes page, but what we'll do, if you could just go back to the presentation mode that you were in before, yeah, we'll leave that gray box. Maybe it'll disappear at some point through the presentation.
She's deleted. I'll go back to the presentation.
I'm seeing note slides.
Okay, we're,
So
It's
can
fine.
you,
yes, I'm doing my best. I
that's
have some
okay,
assistance. We're sorry about this.
that's okay. I think what I can do is, how about, how about I share my screen
Okay,
and you just tell me when to vote.
okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Sure.
All right, very good. So thank you everyone for your patience. Good afternoon. My name is Laurel Blamisher. I'm with the Department of Procurement Services. I'm the Deputy Procurement Officer over the Contract Administration Division. Today I'll be presenting to you doing business with the City of Chicago. Okay, next slide. The Department of Procurement Services is committed to communications and outreach, which is the key to keeping citizens informed of bid opportunities, new programs, innovations. We encourage you to visit our website. Not only will you find bid opportunities, but also certification information, the latest procurement news, procurement updates, and calendar events. And at the end, I'll be displaying some more information regarding the website, actual highlights the appropriate applications. Okay, thank you. Next slide. The Department of Procurement Services, under the direction of the Chief Procurement Officer, is the contract authority for the procurement of goods and services for the City of Chicago. We work together as a team with our customers to guarantee an open, fair, and timely process by establishing, communicating, and enforcing superior business practices. Next slide. The procurement of services is governed by laws. The Municipal Code Act, which is the state statute that governs the city's procurement practices, and Chapter 22-92 of the Municipal Code of Chicago, the city ordinance that governs purchasing. Next slide. The Department of, next slide, please, Jackie. Thank you. Okay. The Department of Procurement Services is divided into two sections: the Contract Administration, which is where I'm from, and the Office of Contracting Opportunity, formerly known as Certification and Compliance. My colleagues will be discussing further information regarding the contract and regarding the certification and compliance component of our presentation today later on. Thank you. Next one. The Department of Procurement Services provides centralized procurement services on behalf of the City of Chicago, as well as city departments with integrity, transparency, throughout innovative and cost-effective best practices. Department of Procurement Services promotes responsible stewardships of city resources and ethical use of taxpayer dollars, encouraging participation from diverse and local businesses, and fosters broad competition through a fair and open process to obtain the highest quality of goods and services. The Department of Procurement Services is the contracting authority for over 30 city departments, which includes a vast variety of infrastructure, public safety, as well as health, including the Department of Aviation, the two largest international airports in the Midwest. DPS ensures that user departments have access to goods and services to fulfill their missions and serve the Chicago residents. It administers an open bid and solicitation process. Procurement processes over 2,500 contracts annually for new contracts, amendments, and task orders. Procurement awards in a very vast range of dollars, in hundreds of millions of dollars. Next slide, please. The next part I'm going to be going over is about the procurement methods. This will give you a little bit more of an insight as to how we operate and the difference of the different types of opportunities that all of you are eligible for. Okay. The Department of Procurement Services processes small orders under $250,000, competitive bids, requests for proposals, requests for qualifications, and job order contracts, otherwise known as JOC. Okay, an informal bid is known as a small order, which is valued under $200,000. The small order value increased from $100,000 to $250,000 by ordinance just this year, January 1st. Formal bid solicitations are known as bids, requests for proposals, or requests for qualifications, which are projects over the $250,000. So the formal competitive bids consist of commodities, work services, construction, and JOC. So you'll find, for example, janitorial supplies, toilet paper, turkey bologna, fire hydrant covers, and all the likes of those types of items are known as formal commodities and work services. Also, too, within the formal is the professional services, which is request for proposal and request for qualifications. These are professional services that include construction and design and other consultant services. Formal solicitations are publicly advertised in the Chicago Tribune newspaper in the daily classified section, or you can view them by downloading off of the Department of Procurement's website. These opportunities on the website are updated weekly, and you can register on the DPS alerts to receive notifications of recent advertised projects. Everything changes, including anything that changes, you'll be notified once you register for the DPS alert. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to go into a little bit more about the actual competitive bids. Remember, these are the types of products that you would find: the toilet paper, the janitorial supplies, the pavement of roads and runways and things of that nature, okay? The method of procurement to purchase commodities and services such as supplies, equipment, maintenance, and/or repair and services. Bid specifications detail every aspect of the products and services. The city proposals from qualified vendors detailing the proposed plan to implement and complete projects. In this method, in competitive bids, the focus is on the lowest bidding price. So we look for all the other terms and conditions as well as the specifications for these particular widgets. But more importantly, at the end of the day, what we're looking for and how we're going to be basing our award is by the lowest bid. Unlike the professional services, which is more for qualifications, and we're looking at who has the right qualities, who has the right plans to be implemented, designs, whichever the using department is looking for. So the method of procurement of Rfps and Rfqs is to hire a professional service consultant to implement new projects or design in various professional service discipline areas. This includes architect, engineering, and designs. Rfps, Rfqs are used when the city does not have in-house technical experts or resources to implement a project or design project. For example, we have so many different requests for proposals. We have temporary staffing, we have integrity monitors, the several wonderful opportunities that are available at the airport. There's lots of opportunities under the Department of Transportation. There's a vast variety of opportunities that are growing every day with everyone. And an RFP defines the project objectives and the scope of services through parameters, but does not necessarily specify what they're looking for. So they'll present an overview of what they're looking for, and you as the proposal, the respondent, will provide the actual plan in which you intend to service the city, whether it be the number of staffing or whether it be the services that you offer. There's a vast variety. So all of that is detailed in our RFPs and RFQs. In those methods, the way we evaluate those is through an evaluation process. And again, what we're looking for in a professional services is more the qualification, who meets the requirements, who has the innovative ideas that we might not have thought of. We might have given you the basis for what we're looking for, but we're looking for you, the respondent, to give us the vast opportunities or to give us an insight into things that we haven't thought about, okay? In every one of our solicitations that are over $10,000, there's a requirement of the MBE and WBE compliance goals, which is the minority women businesses. There's also bid incentives and other programs that are offered, which my colleagues will be going into after I complete my presentation. Next slide, please. So the DPS website, as I keep mentioning, has so much information. It really is one of the best tools that the city can offer for you as the public to submit bids or proposals for any of these projects. It is a great source of information. As Jackie mentioned, there are some other slides that will be presented regarding resources. There's also something that I want to inform you about. Recently, during this whole COVID, we've actually implemented a bid electronic process, which is known as the E-Procurement. And this information is now available for all of you, which is what we're using now. We no longer are using paper. It allows you as the respondent or bidder to submit an electronic proposal. There's also electronic tabulations. There's also a takeout list. There's also an attendee for pre-bids for those solicitations that have those requirements. It's all online. It's very easy. We also offer workshops. We offer training about the e-procurement process. And we're really excited about going forward in this virtual world using electronic processes. But we here at DPS are here to service you and provide whatever assistance you need for updating or utilizing the electronic process for which we're all going and working into in this new world of 2022. So I believe there's another slide. So this slide, the e-procurement submission, goes into a little bit more detail about what I've mentioned. There's also there's the particular website locations for the e-proc. So yeah, that pretty much covers everything that we handle in contract administration. Again, we offer great opportunities for all levels of businesses, and I really appreciate your attention. And I hope that I see some of you respond to our wonderful opportunities that are out there. And don't forget to register for your DPS alerts, because it's very important so you get notified. And more importantly, I want to thank Jackie, and I'm going to turn it over to Mitchell Kroc, who is our General Counsel in our Department of Procurement Services. Thank you for your attention, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks for the introduction, Laurel, and thank you everyone for being here. We're excited to have you. As Laurel said, I'm Mitchell Kroc. I am the General Counsel, Managing Deputy Procurement Officer for DPS, and I am here to briefly go over some programs and incentives that we hope can help you participate in all the city opportunities. Give me a moment. Great, thank you. This part of the presentation is going to be divided into roughly two parts. The first part is about a series of programs, and then I'm going to transition into a very brief overview of select bid incentives. There's quite a lot of information. These slides will be provided, but if you have further questions, certainly put them in the chat. And if you have questions after this presentation, I will drop into the chat at the end of my presentation a link to our DPS rules page, which offers quite a lot of information about these programs and incentives. Beginning with the programs, these first two bullet points regard programs that give exclusive bidding opportunities to small and mid-sized businesses. The back three on this slide involve minority and women-owned business enterprise compliance plans and ways to maximize participation there. Beginning with the Small Business Initiative for Construction, I do want to stress bidders and businesses that are familiar with how this worked in 2021 should be informed that as of January 2022, there are some changes. I will go over those. This program is designed to encourage small businesses to participate in city-funded construction projects up to 10 million in total cost. That 10 million figure is a change for the SBI 1 program. In 2021, it was $3 million. 2022 on, it is $10 million. Key points to remember. Small local businesses are the exclusive bidders. They have the exclusive opportunity to participate in these specifications and these projects. The local component means that the business's principal place of business must be located in the 6-county region. Folks that are familiar with how this program worked prior to prior to 2022 may remember that there was a requirement that the majority of the business's full-time workforce had to be in the 6-county region. As of January 2022, that minor comment is, that minor component is eliminated. However, the principal place of business itself must be in the 6-county region. People may be familiar that there are 2 tiers of the Small Business Initiative. SBI 1, as of 2022, is for estimated project costs between 2 and 10 million. Bidders may not exceed 1.5 times the Small Business Administration size standards in their appropriate area of specialty. And the owners cannot exceed 1.5 times the certification personal net worth limits. SBI 2 remains as it was prior to 2022. It is for estimated project costs less than 2 million, and bidders may not exceed 1/2 this SBI size standard and may not exceed 1/2 the certification personal net worth limits. It's important to note the small businesses must perform the majority of their work with their own forces or with subcontractors that are also small local businesses. Transitioning to the mid-sized business initiative for construction. Again, this is a slight change in 2022. I will certainly go over that. This program is designed to increase opportunities for small and mid-sized businesses on city-funded construction projects. It is between 10 million and 20 million in total cost. Small and mid-sized local businesses are the exclusive bidders. As with the Small Business Initiative program, the principal place of business must be in the 6-county region, and the bidder may not exceed 2 times the SBA size standard, and the owner may not exceed 2 times the personal net worth limits. And again, at least 51% of the work must be performed by mid-sized business enterprises or by subcontractors who also qualify as mid-sized local businesses. Some folks may remember prior to 2022, there was an MBI 1 program and an MBI 2 program. As of 2022, there is just one single MBI program. Again, the rules for these programs are on the DPS rules page. If you have questions that cannot be addressed during this presentation, I definitely encourage you to check that webpage out. The next 3 programs really have more to do with satisfying minority and women-owned business enterprise participation plan commitments. The first one I want to go over is the Diversity Credit Program. The goal of this one is to increase the participation of minority and women-owned business enterprises on private contracts by making such participation eligible for credit towards MWBE goals on city contracts. Key points to remember, the minority or women-owned business enterprise must perform a commercially useful function on that private contract. The work must be in an area of specialty that the firm receives certification from the city in. $1 of credit is given on the city plans for every $3 earned by the MWBE vendors on the private contract. The maximum amount of the credit is 5%, and credits may only be used once and expire after 1 year. We're seeing more private sector contracts having their own affirmative action goals. If the private sector contract has an affirmative action goal, the M&W participation that goes towards that affirmative action goal cannot qualify for this diversity credit program. I'm going to go into the Mentor Protege program. This is designed to increase the participation and capacity of minority and women-owned business enterprises by making MWBE utilization and mentoring eligible for credit towards MWBE goals on a city contract. Basically, if DPS approves a written mentor protege agreement submitted with your bid, you can receive 0.5% participation credit for every 1% performed by the protege, up to 5%. The mentor protege agreement must be designed to assist the protege in becoming self-sustaining, competitive, and profitable. The prime can mentor a W or an MBE firm, but keep in mind that subcontractor to subcontractor mentor protege agreements can also qualify. Also, in addition to help with achieving participation goals on minority and women-owned business enterprise compliance plans, keep in mind that you will receive a 1% bid incentive if qualifying. And if you have any questions about what we're looking for in a written mentor protege agreement, not to beat a dead horse, but you can check out the DPS rules page. And in particular, our rules on this incentive include a template agreement for you to start off of. So definitely take a look through that. Finally, for programs, the phased graduation program is designed to maximize diversity in the city's contracting by making established businesses, I'll go over that in a second, eligible for continued participation in the city's minority and women-owned business enterprise construction and non-construction programs for at least 3 years. Basically, if your firm that is certified as a minority or women-owned business enterprise exceeds the gross receipts limits for certification, or the owners exceed the personal net worth limits for certification, but your firm otherwise still qualifies as an M or a W, you will not be certified anymore as a minority or women-owned business enterprise, but you will be considered a participating established business for a period of 3 years. Basically, your first year out of the program, your participation will count for 75% credits on the MW compliance plan. The second year out of the program, it will count for 50%, and the third year, 25%. Transitioning from programs into bid incentives, we have many bid incentives for your consideration. I definitely encourage you to first read through your bid package if you are interested in bidding on a city opportunity. We will describe which bid incentives apply and how you can qualify for them. If you have further questions, definitely check out DPS rules, and also keep in mind that our specifications have a Q&A period where you can send in questions to DPS about these, and we will answer in the form of an addendum sent to all bidders. So there are multiple avenues to learn more about these. For those that don't know, the way that these incentives work, again, we'll list them in the bid package. You will have to submit an affidavit saying that you qualify, and all the requested documentation listed in our rules and in the bid package. And if you're eligible, your bid will be reduced in the amount of that incentive for evaluation purposes only. You are not penalized in the amount you are paid by applying for an incentive. It will not affect how much you are paid. It just affects how low your bid is for purposes of bid evaluation. Going over a major one right off the bat, our equal employment opportunity incentive is designed to increase the utilization of minority and women journey workers, apprentices, and laborers on construction projects. You'll see in construction bid packages that there is a canvassing formula, a little checklist or chart where you will fill in voluntary commitments up to certain levels for using minority and women journey workers, apprentices, and laborers. You will receive 150% credit for every work hour performed by a minority or female worker residing in a socioeconomically disadvantaged area. I'll go over that concept a little more later. And after completing the numerical calculations and DPS applying the formulas, The final calculation will represent your award criteria figure. We'll start with that for looking at your bids, but after we calculate the award criteria figure, we'll also apply further bid incentives, which I'm about to go into a few more of them. The next two slides are actually for earned credits certificates that can be used on future bids. The first one I want to go over is the Apprentice Utilization Incentive, which is designed to encourage city prime contractors to utilize apprentices on construction projects. There is a firm and detailed definition of apprentice, which I encourage you to look through, but basically it is a person who is sponsored into an apprenticeship training program by a contractor that is authorized by a union to sponsor apprentices and is enrolled in or has graduated from a construction technology training program administered by city colleges, or if that person is a graduate of a CPS high school. By using those apprentices, you'll receive a earned credit. It's good for 3 years. We'll issue a certificate if at the end of the contract you qualify for this incentive, and you can use that certificate towards a future bid opportunity. This next one's somewhat similar to the last one, but a little different. It's the ex-offender apprentice bid incentive. You may be familiar with the concept as returning citizens. The program goal is designed as an incentive for city prime contractors to sponsor and utilize ex-offender apprentices for construction projects. Again, I encourage you to carefully look at the definition of who qualifies, but more or less, if you use ex-offender persons for labor hours on the project, you can qualify for an earned credit incentive, again, to be used on a future bid opportunity. Definitely two incentives to look into. The next two incentives I'm going over are related to veteran-owned businesses. So if your business is veteran-owned, you may want to pay special attention to the next few slides. The first incentive I want to go over is the veteran-owned subcontractor utilization bid incentive. It is designed to encourage, as the name suggests, the utilization of veteran-owned subcontractors in the performance of the contract. To qualify, the bidder must utilize veteran-owned small local businesses as subcontractors. Keep in mind, for this incentive, we're talking about city-certified veteran-owned businesses. If you are not certified as a veteran-owned business with the city and you think you may qualify, keep in mind that pursuing that certification with the city may allow you to qualify for this incentive going forward as a subcontractor. And it is a tiered incentive based on the bidder's commitment to effectively how much veteran-owned subcontractor participation they're going to have on the compliance plan. Also related to veteran-owned businesses, but quite different in several ways, is the veteran-owned plus small business joint venture bid incentive. The goal here is to increase contracting opportunities and participation by small, local, veteran-owned business enterprises or eligible joint ventures that are basically a joint venture of a veteran-owned business enterprise and a small local business enterprise. It is a 5% bid incentive, so definitely something to check out. And a veteran-owned business enterprise can qualify by itself and does not need to JV with another business if that veteran-owned business enterprise is also small and local. Keep in mind here, there is a broader list of how you can qualify as a veteran-owned business for this incentive than there is for the last one. So definitely take a careful look through the rules. And again, the VBEs must have 51% or more veteran ownership. For JVs, keep in mind, all members must be a small business enterprise, veteran-owned business, or both. At least one member must be a veteran-owned business. All the SBEs must collectively have 30% interest in the JV. The veteran-owned businesses must have collectively 30% interest in the JV. Within those parameters, how it's split up between the two is a business decision. The joint venture partners must self-perform at least 20% of the work, and none of the JV members may act as brokers. Again, something to seriously consider, and definitely take a look through your bid package and the rules on this one. Transitioning to a bid incentive involving another kind of city certification, which will be covered more by other DPS personnel, is the business enterprises owned or operated by people with disabilities. This is designed to increase contracting opportunities and participation by business enterprises owned or operated by people with disabilities. For this incentive, the BEPD firm can be the prime or the subcontractor, but it must be a certified BEPD. When we're talking about certification here, city certification certainly counts. Also, state certification could qualify. Definitely take a look. And again, I'll provide a link to where you can learn more about this later. The business enterprise must be 51% or more owned by a person with a disability, and it is a tiered incentive based on how much of the work is performed by the BEPD firm. So again, if you think you qualify for this certification and you're not certified yet, definitely consider looking into it. And you may benefit from this bid incentive. The city-based business bid incentive is designed to increase contracting opportunities and participation by city-based businesses. There's 3 tiers of this incentive, all relating to city-based participation. 4% bid incentive if the business itself is city-based, and if the majority of its regular full-time employees work out of the city facility. In contrast to that last statement, the 6% bid incentive, a higher tier, applies if the firm otherwise qualifies for the 4% bid incentive, and the majority of its regular full-time workforce are City of Chicago residents. And beyond that, there's an 8% tier that if the firm qualifies for the 6% tier and the majority of the city residents that are the workforce live in socioeconomically disadvantaged areas, that higher tier applies. Just to stress, we're talking about City of Chicago geographic limits. There are other city programs that involve the 6-county region that go beyond the city. This is definitely limited to the City of Chicago and not the surrounding counties. Here's the map of socioeconomically disadvantaged areas. A link to the current copy is in the lower left. These slides will be provided to you, but if you have any questions about how to access this map, definitely let us know. This map is generated actually not by Procurement Services. It is generated by the city's Department of Planning and Development. So definitely take a look because this map is subject to update. Last incentive, and that will be the conclusion of my presentation, regards the diverse workforce and diverse management bid incentives. This pair of incentives is designed to encourage contractors to employ a diverse workforce and diverse management. The definition of diverse, the definition of workforce, and the definition of management, there are different definitions of each. They are in the ordinance and supplemented by the rules on this subject. You can definitely find the rules on our rules page. And it is a tiered incentive for both incentives based on how much of your workforce or how much of your management respectively qualifies as diverse. That concludes my presentation. I will go ahead and drop the DPS rules into the chat. And at the same time, I will turn it over to Desiree Atkins, who is DPS's Manager of Certification and Compliance. Thank you.
Desiree, would you like me to share my screen?
Hi, Jackie. Yes, that'll be fine. Thank you, Mitchell, for your introduction. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Desiree Atkins. That's with an O, not an A. And I am the Manager of Certification and Compliance. Today, my topic is going to be regarding certification. And what a great transition with all the bid incentives that are out there to speak next about certification and how we can increase our vendor pool. Next slide. What we're going to do today is start off with talking about the types of certification, criteria, eligibility, and processes. You notice The city of Chicago hosts 6 different certification types. 4 of those are underneath our local program, which is the Minority and Women Business Enterprise, the Business Enterprise owned by people with disabilities, and our latest certification, which is the Veteran Business Enterprise. And then we also host federal certifications underneath the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise and the Airport Concessions Business Enterprise. Hosting 6 certification types allows us to, at this point, certify about 3,100 firms. So that means that we have published to our vendor directory over 3,100 firms who can benefit from the contracting opportunities, but we're always looking for more. Next slide. Who qualifies for certification? What are the qualifying groups? Are you African American owner, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, women, veteran, person with a disability, or even an individual who can prove their socioeconomic disadvantage? That's one of the initial criteria for deciding, can I even participate within this program? Next slide. Another criteria is, are you local, especially for one of those 4 certification types, the MBE, WBE, VBE, and the BEPD. Is the firm's business entity located within a 6-county region of Cook, King, DuPage, Lake, McHenry, and Will counties? For our federal program, DBE and ACDBE, you can be anywhere in the state of Illinois. However, you do need to make sure that 51% or more of your business is owned, controlled, and managed by a minority, woman, veteran, and or person with disabilities for the DBE, ACDBE certification. You need to make sure that 51% of your business is owned, controlled, and managed by a socially or economically disadvantaged individual. Next slide. What are our business criteria or business size standards? How large is your business? Well, we certify small businesses. In the recent months, we've made updates to what the gross receipts and size standards are. So for our local program, the gross receipts underneath our non-construction still maintains to be 3 years, but every year it goes up a little bit more as far as the size goes. And that's for 43.2 million averaged out over those 3 years. But here's the thing, with construction, where the big change occurred. Our construction firms are 1.5 times the SBA size standards, averaged over 7 years instead of the previous 5 years. With regard to our federal program, the DBE, the gross receipts are calculated by the SBA size standards for the firm's primary line of business that is averaged over 5 years. But this is subject to not exceeding a 3-year average maximum of 28.48 million for the FHWA and FTA assisted contracts. DBE firms that are involved in FAA assisted projects are not subject to the 3-year average maximum of 28.48. ACDBEs. These firms cannot exceed the maximum size of gross revenues of 56.42 million, averaged over 3 years. Next slide. What is your personal net worth of your ownership? For the local program, the personal net worth has also increased. So this actually increases annually as well. Presently for 2022, it's based roughly 2.49 million in your personal net worth. That is the standard. For the DBE, ACDBE, the threshold applies to all people seeking the certification, and it is currently 1.32 million. This also may be adjusted periodically by the U.S. Department of Transportation. An additional change that we've made was with your P&W was included. So your primary residence, that was always being excluded. but also the interest of in certified firms. Next slide. What type of businesses qualify? Well, basically any business that is for profit, a sole proprietor, general partnership, corporation, limited partnership, limited liability corporation. If you fit into those categories, then we're looking to see your application. Next slide. How do you submit an application? That's simple. You do it electronically. You follow the link to chicago.mwdbe.com, select OK or enter, and then you're going to get an option for you to apply for certification. Upon submission of your application, you will receive the emailed invoice. Your application will be reviewed once you have paid an application fee for the local program, and all completed documents are received. So please expect when you submit your applications, it's going to be online. The system is going to take you through a series of steps to make sure you're in the right spot. However, we're always available either through email or through contacting our office Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at 312-744-4900, where you'll press option 1 for certification. This information will also be a part of the chat review in the chat section. We will be able to answer most of your questions within the same day, if not 24 to 48 hours. Next slide. Some of the reasons that delay the application process. It could be ownership and control. If there is unsubstantiated information that you provided, so you say one thing in the application, and then the documents that you provide tell maybe a different story or slightly different story. Sometimes it's just about being able to understand what the business actually does and communicating that throughout your application. It may be whether or not your company is within the 6-county region. It could be inconsistencies within different documents. Who is the owner? How did you get your equity to capitalize your company? What monies were used by which owners? This information is important for us to understand who's doing what. We want to know what the roles are so we can have a clearer understanding of what the company does, how it does what it does, and who's in charge of making sure it happens. Even though you may not get the application and all the information right on the first try, that's okay because we're reviewing it during the intake process. We're going to ask you questions. Once we receive your application and we have questions in any of these areas or others, we're going to ask you for more information. So it's not going to be that you submit the application, you didn't quite tell the story in the way that was most representative to your particular company. We're going to have several different ways of communicating with you electronically and providing you with opportunities to respond. And then we will be able to work with you to get the information. Keep in mind, tax returns. The tax returns need to be complete, signed and dated, so that we can make sure that we have the last copy. Well, not a draft or a copy, but we actually have what was used to file. Next slide. What's next after the applications are submitted? So after we reviewed all the documentation you provided, we've analyzed what we received in. This process is about 90 days for us to thoroughly look through, audit, and then be able to provide a recommendation. It may include a site visit, especially in construction. If approved, your certification is actually valid for the life of your business, as long as you remain compliant with the rules and regulations of the program. This is also a recent change. Previously, those that were approved for certification, it was a 5-year application. It was a 5-year certification. And every 5 years, you would have to recertify. That's no longer. We want you to be able to feel comfortable and confident that your certification and your opportunities are available to you for the life that you are in control or your business is active. But we also need to make sure that you do remain compliant to the rules and regulations. So you still will have to submit a no change affidavit annually by or before your anniversary date. Here's a tip. The system is designed to alert you 90 days before your application expires to say, hey, you need to submit your no change affidavit. It'll do it at 60 days, it'll do it again at 30 days. If I'm not mistaken, it does it at 15 days before. So don't let those emails just go by because you may have made changes that you didn't realize that you needed to report. So by completing your annual no change affidavits, this keeps your certification compliant. Thank you. At this moment, this completes my version of the presentation, and I'll be turning it over to the hands of our first Deputy Procurement Officer, Monica Jimenez. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Desiree. Good afternoon, everyone.
Monica, you should have control. And if you just go down to the bottom right, next to the minus sign, and you can begin.
Thank you, Jackie, and thank you, Desiree. And now this will be the last segment of our DPS workshop. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to walk you through the compliance component within the Department of Procurement Services. And the compliance unit is responsible for the monitoring of minority women, disadvantaged business, and veteran business enterprises. So what do we do? The unit is responsible for reviewing compliance plans once before a contract is awarded. They're also responsible for monitoring MBEWB commitments that have been made on a contract. Their responsibility also includes the monitoring of equal employment opportunity, Chicago residency, and local residency, as well as completing the contract closeout process. So how's that done? They use two systems. The unit uses the certification and compliance system called C2, as well as the certified payroll processing system, which we call as LCP tracker. Interim audits are conducted as it relates to whether a prime contractor is meeting their MBEWB goals, as well as on these certified payrolls. And for every construction project that is out there, site visits are conducted. So for every solicitation that's issued by the Department of Procurement Services, contract goals are incorporated into each specification. Before a contract is awarded, the compliance unit reviews the compliance plan that has been submitted by the contractor. The compliance plan will consist of various schedules. The Schedule B, which is the affidavit of the joint venture. The Schedule C's, which is the letter of intent and should be submitted by the subcontractor. The Schedule D is the compliance plan for all MBEWB or DBE participation, and that is filled out by the prime contractor. And the Schedule H, which is the documentation of good faith efforts. In order for a compliance plan to be reviewed, and what determines a proper compliance plan is one or two things: the Schedule D and or the documentation of good faith efforts. So what's part of the compliance plan and the supporting documentation? The Schedule C's Very, very important. Again, if a prime contractor is interested in doing business with the city and wants to submit a bid to the city of Chicago, though, and there are minority women, veteran goals, or disadvantaged goals on the project, as identified in the MBEWB special conditions portion of the specification, then what they'll do is they'll reach out to subcontractors to get quotes from you. With that Schedule C that they'll ask you to fill out, it's very, very important that you get the name of the project and just and put on there the services that you're going to be performing in. And we'll go over the actual Schedule C in detail. We'll ask for the certification letter. So always make sure that you have your certification letter. Again, with you're certified with City of Chicago as well as Cook County, that letter can be pulled from the system. So it's always available to you, as well as quotes and proposals. So once the compliance officer is reviewing a compliance plan and they determine, where we're going to move forward with this and the information that's on the Schedule Cs, they're going to ask the prime contractor to submit a copy of the proposal that the MW submitted to them as part of the project. Some common mistakes that a compliance officer may see in a compliance submittal is incomplete brief descriptions of work that are on the Schedule C. The mentor protege question is usually unanswered. The subcontracting levels of it, as well as supplier participation. For example, if you can see here, this is a copy of a Schedule C. Project name, always ask, again, any company that is coming to you and is asking for you to fill out the Schedule C, this is the information that you really, really want to have in order to track the project. Project name, what's the actual project name of the project that they intend to bid to the City of Chicago, as well as the specification number. We can track anything through a specification number. We can track a contract through a specification number. Always ask to see that. As well as when you go into log into our system, you could pull up that specification number to determine whether an award has been made and who it has been made to. The from section should be the MBEWB firm if you're filling this out, and two, the person that you're actually submitting the bid to. It could be the prime contractor who's submitting the bid, or it could be a second or third tier sub to the prime. In this section here that you see my cursor at, it's important for us to know very detailed information as to you as an MBEWB veteran or disadvantaged business. What are the specifics in terms of the project that you're performing? What are you actually doing? Because we want to know. 2-word descriptions are not acceptable. We will reject it back to the prime contractor, say, you know what, you need to go back, have your subcontractor fill this out in detail. We also want to know what pay item and description is based off of the schedule of prices that are listed in the specification document, the quantity and unit price. The information that's on here should also be on your quote. If a person is performing at 100%, the total dollar value will show. If they're performing as a supplier, regular dealer, the percentage is at 60%. Page 2 of the Schedule C will show if you're not performing 100% of the pay items and you're only doing a partial pay, this is the section that you fill it out. Again, common errors that we see, the subcontracting levels. So if the MW, DBE, or veteran business enterprises is going to perform the work but has to subcontract out a portion of their work, whether to another minority women, veteran, disadvantaged business, or to a non-certified firm, then we need to understand that portion that's going to be subcontracted out. What is the percentage that will be subcontracted out? And then again, common mistakes. If this is a mentor protege, we want to know whether it is, and we will need a copy of the mentor protege agreement. Check mark yes or no. It's very, very, very important that part of this overall process, as Desiree talked about, is when you get certified, on your certification is a NAICS code with a description. When it comes to compliance, now is actually, we need to determine whether the certified firm is actually performing a commercial use function. And what does that involve is that the actual, the firm's employees are performing the actual work with its own resources and equipment, that the certified firm is managing the project and supervising the employees. So where does the contract monitoring begin? So once a contract has actually been awarded by the Department of Procurement Services, it is then the notification is given to contract compliance on a monthly basis to now begin the monitoring of that project. Usually, if it's on a construction project, there is a pre-con meeting that is held. We have our compliance officers as well as our field analysts who will attend that pre-con along with the prime contractor and the user department to discuss our monitoring process. We talk about the MBEWB participation in terms of the commitment that's been made. If it is a city-funded project and they committed to equal employment opportunity using minority women as laborers, dirty workers, or apprentices, those commitments must be met. If not, damages will be assessed. If it is a city-funded construction project, then Chicago residency is required as well as local residency. As part of the monitoring process, the compliance officer is responsible for conducting audits on the contract, so they have to track the payments. Payments are tracked in the C2 system, and where the prime contractor is responsible for reporting payments that have been made to subcontractors that are on the plan, as well as the MW veteran disadvantaged business going into the system and confirming those payments. And it's very, very, very important. Compliance officers are normally reaching out to prime contractors and or subcontractors, asking them to confirm these payments because it's very important as part of the audit process. We're also responsible, again, as I indicated, with regard to monitoring equal employment opportunity, Chicago residency, local residency. And for every city construction project, if a contractor is working on the project, on the actual site, then they're required to submit certified payrolls. Prime contractors and their subcontractors are responsible for submitting certified payrolls every week into the certified payroll reporting system, also known as LCP tracker. Another component of the compliance unit, as I indicated earlier, was the field analyst. This unit has 2 field analysts that are dedicated to going out and on the job site, on the construction site, to determine whether minority women businesses, disadvantaged businesses, and veteran-owned businesses are actually performing a commercial use of function. They're an extension of the compliance and certification units. What they do while on a site visit, they'll conduct contractor inspection reports. They'll review the job board to determine that state and federal opportunity laws have been posted. They'll conduct employee interviews and verify this information. So for example, if you have an employee out there who's saying, I'm a laborer, then the information that should be entered into the LCP tracker system, Monica Jimenez, is identified as laborer, that's what it should be shown. As well as part of the employee interviews is confirming whether they are a Chicago resident. And we do ask for a driver's license to determine this information. And again, as indicated, very important as part of their job to determine whether the certified firm is performing a commercial use of function. The last part, a part of the overall compliance component, is the contract closeout. And this flow chart will show you that as part of this process, it begins with the final quantities. Once final quantities have been issued to the prime contractor to confirm, yes, you know what, this is the price that we have agreed that the total cost of the project, and the prime contractor has confirmed that, it is then sent over to the Department of Procurement Services to begin the closeout process. We then pull all the waivers of lien, and when we don't have everything, that we're reaching out to the prime to submit that information to us. We do an assessment of all of MBW, DBE, VBE, DBE, EO, CRO 7.5, issue preliminary assessment letters. And then in the event that a prime has failed to meet the MW firms, there is an opportunity for them to come back based off of the preliminary assessment that has been issued to document good faith efforts. In the end, we finally issue an interoffice communication to the end user, which is the department who managed the project, to say, you know what, this is where the actual prime contractor has met or did not meet its commitments and goals. And this now concludes not only the compliance portion of the project of our panel, but also the overall presentation. And now I'm going to hand it over back to Jackie so we could begin the Q&A.
Yes, and we're going to get through, there are just a few questions, so we'll try to get through these as quickly as possible, because I know some of you have registered for our next presentation. So if there are certified, if we are certified with the City of Chicago as an MBE, WBE, and WBENC, what should we use to apply for fast track applications for BEP applications? So you can unmic yourself.
Yes. This is Desiree Atkins, and I'm trying to follow along with the question. So if I understand correctly, the question is if I am certified with the WBDNC.
Yes, and MBE, WBE, and WBENC with the City of Chicago. How can you fast track for BEP application?
Okay, so the City of Chicago does not certify for BEP certifications. So I'm not sure if you're already certified with the City of Chicago as a WBE and or MBE, and if you're looking to go to, I don't know if you're looking to go to another state, or if you're looking to be certified with the state of Illinois and you've seen that, that you would have to contact those agencies directly to find out what their criteria is. Surely there is a website that's available for that. Now, if you are local and you are certified with WBDC, there is a process where we allow you to submit your application to the City of Chicago. It is still done through the same web portal at the chicago.mwdbe.com. However, it would have to be your first time submitting to the City of Chicago, and we will review your application. And there is a shortened application. The process will still be thorough, where we review all the documents and make sure that we are properly certifying, the eligible firms. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Are there any plans in the near future to request FRQs for architecture services?
So I believe the question is, are there any upcoming RFQs for A&E solicitations? Presently, there isn't anything, but more than likely there will be some. I strongly recommend to look at the buying plan for the upcoming projects that will be listed.
What is the best website to track of new professional service contracts for the city? And does it cover airport work as well?
Okay, yes, that's me again. So yes, the best place, number one, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, is to register for DPS alerts and to download the bid opportunities that are listed. And also too, the City of Chicago's website does list all of the city departments, including the airport. The airport also has its own website that if you would like to register for, that's also available. And that's at the Chicago Department of Aviation website, which you can find the link on our homepage.
And if I can add, thank you for the segue. At 2:30 to 3:30, the Chicago Department of Aviation will be up just in about 15 minutes. That's why I'm trying to get you off so that we can go on over to that one if you would like to see that one as well. But a couple more questions before we leave. I am a WBE certified firm. And how can I find projects that may call for our product that we have in a RFQ? And then they put, I guess this was supposed to be RFP, but they had RFB, but I think it's RFP.
It is,
So,
I'll take that question. So with every solicitation that is let by the Department of Procurement Services, if I was a small business, what I would be doing is actually looking at every solicitation to determine, based off of the scope of work, how can I, as a small business, based off of what I do, participate on this contract? That's what you're going to have to do in order to be an educated company. And then what I would do is actually go to the bid takeout list and look at all those companies who have taken out the solicitation. And then you would go to that business to solicit to tell them, hey, Monica Jimenez Architectural Company, I see that, you know what, you took out this solicitation. I am a small certified firm. Here are my services. How can we partner together?
And I'm going to ask you this question, Monica. Do you guys offer internships / job opportunities?
Not directly, not directly the Department of Procurement Services, but I highly suggest and recommend that you go to the Department of Human Resources website to see if there's any availability or internships out there.
All righty. I think that handles them all. I want to thank
Jackie, no, I'm sorry. I just want to flag, there's one question that was put in the chat and not in the Q&A. Why are you more interested in gross receipts than profits? I think this related to the certification standards. I'm sure Monica also and Desiree have answers, but I would just say, there's a very long and storied history for the city's MW program. It goes all the way back to 1985, which I think is super cool. But I think the short answer is just to make it easier, I think, for not just keeping track of compliance, but also for the bidders to for applicant firms to understand the standards. It's easier to match the federal DBE program, which also uses gross receipts. Desiree could definitely tell you we have a lot of firms that are dual certified as either an M or a W and also as a DBE. And it's just administratively and for applicants to understand, I think we think it's clearer to match the metric, the gross receipts versus profits that the federal government does. Monica and Desiree, I don't know if you have further comments.
All righty. Monica, do you have anything extra?
There was also a question in the Q&A that asked, when will there be more inclusion for small businesses at the prime GC level? What I can say to that is, look at the city of Chicago does not exclude anyone from doing business with the city, with us. A certified for, again, in order to meet compliance, you can meet compliance either at the prime level or at the subcontractor level. We would love to see, love to see small local businesses bidding at the prime level, and there's no exclusion to that. So with every solicitation, we encourage you to do that. Also, as Mitchell indicated, there are programs out there, especially for construction, the Small Business Initiative, the Mid-Sized Business Initiative. On the actual non-construction side, there's the Target Market Program, where we have put out projects that we have never historically went out target market and then put them out. We have to work with the user department who has the actual need for the service and determine whether there is availability within a NAICS code in which the certified firms can perform and bid. So we with every opportunity that is out there, we look at it. Trust me, I've been in the program for a very long time, and whenever we can, we will try to put it out as a target market solicitation as best as we can. But there's all types of programs. So again, you can bid at the prime level at any project at any time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I would like to thank Laurel Blomisher, Deputy Procurement Officer, Mitchell Kroc, Managing Deputy Procurement Officer, Desiree Atkins, Manager of Certification and Compliance, and Monica Jimenez, First Deputy Procurement Officer. Thank you all for presenting that great information to us, and we look forward to seeing you over in the next presentation at 2:30 with the Chicago Department of Aviation. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.